Olá pessoal, eu sou o Saldanha da ZRS Distribuidora. Para você que ainda não conhece a ZRS é uma distribuidora bem diferenciada do que você está acostumado a ver no Brasil. Hoje nós trabalhamos com 15 marcas com exclusividade e temos alguns diferenciais, né? Como proteger o seu projeto, como trabalhar o seu projeto desde o começo e acompanhar, e muitas outras coisas que eu queria que você conhecesse. Mas eu estou aqui hoje com uma figura muito interessante. Nós estamos há um ano conversando com a Niveo Professional. Eu gostaria muito que você procurasse no site, vai conhecer um pouquinho, porque é bem interessante. Hoje nós vamos conhecer um pouquinho da história da Niveo, um pouquinho da história dessa pessoa que é muito especial, está conosco aqui no Brasil, Arthur De Jager. Ele é o CEO e o criador da Niveo. Então nós vamos começar, eu vou falar agora em inglês para que ele possa entender e a gente possa conversar. So Arthur, uh, introduce yourself. Who is Arthur? And tell me about your career in AV industry.
Well,
Explain us.
Sadanya, first, thanks a lot for having us and taking the opportunity to have this very pleasant meeting. It's I'm Arthur, and I'm one of the founders of Niveo Professional. I have a background in telecommunications and IT, and have been in the AV industry for 18 years now. And uh, uh, as a company, we were founded because we were approached by Philips, at that time a manufacturer of a control system called Pronto. I think many of the industry peers still remember Pronto as a very nice control system. And 18 years ago, they were the first to move to IP networking for their control devices. And that meant that they had integrators everywhere that would go to the local Best Buy or the local electronics store, get the cheapest access point they could find, do a little prayer, and then hoped it would work. As a consequence, Philips just got a hotline with support questions. Why is the network not working? And the fact was, at that time, when the handhelds would drop off the network, the entire server had to be reset every time. So they sought for a partner that was willing to create devices that had a very stable signal. So the company came to life by developing, together with Philips in their labs in Belgium, a wireless device that was optimized for that signal. And we actually never looked back. We've always been involved in AV. And I really enjoy this industry. It's filled with phenomenally passionate people, and I enjoy working in it. It's fantastic.
So actually, it's funny because Niveo was created to fix a problem, or like we say here in the marketing, there was a pain and you have the cure, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things that we are very proud of is that Niveo is not an IT company or a retail company that moved into AV by just relabeling a switch. No, we are literally an AV company from the ground up, and we make network equipment, but for AV. And the big differentiator for us is that we have a team of engineers that are AV engineers first and network engineers second. So they know exactly what an integrator encounters in the field.
This is very important. Worldwide, Niveo is working. So you really feel like the integrated AV integrator feels all the
Yeah,
pains that they have. It's not just putting some fits that doesn't work. So you really go into deep to understand what is going on, right?
yes, and we have literally engineers that are certified for Crestron, that are buy-in programmers, that are certified for QoC and so on. So they literally live and breathe networking, and because of that, the interaction we have with our integrators is different from your average IT brand. Um, So just an example here on the table, we've introduced rear port switches to this industry, and many have followed since. But I think it was a really good way to make life easier for an integrator to have AV products that patch at the back of a rack, to support that with a switch that also patches at the back of a rack.
It's very interesting. We were discussing yesterday about the importance of IT during the years. And in the past, AV was very important and IT was growing. Now IT is very important in any project. I believe that maybe 90% of the projects, they need to have a networking. So why do you believe that IT is the brain, or the switch is the brain of any project? Explain me a little bit.
So our industry, whether we like it or not, is basically moving data from A to B. That means that the voice recording and the video recording of this session is all bits and bytes that go over a network and then be translated into signal again. And we are as passionate as we are, and with all the fantastic people that we have in the industry, that some literally started with soldering speakers in their garage and build a company out of that. And our industry is literally full of those examples. We understand that there's a passion for the sound and for the pictures that
The video, yeah.
the video that is created, but in the end, we need to transport it. And in the past, we used to have an industry based on point-to-point connections, a matrix switcher, for instance.
Yeah.
That's nothing than a whole bunch of point-to-point connections in a device, to network, which is connect everything to everything at the same time.
Long distance and all this stuff.
Correct. So if we take, for example, video over IP, in the past, if you would have signals going through a matrix switcher, that matrix switcher was the clever part. If you look at video over IP right now, that means that the video signal is translated into bits and bytes and goes through the network and then to a decoder, and that puts it back into the analog signal. And that means that the intelligence in that entire setup is not in the encoder and the decoder. The intelligence is in the switch. It's basically the most critical part of the entire design.
This is very, very interesting to mention to our public that is listening to this, because sometimes they say, hey, let's save some money on the switch. So this is not smart, because maybe you are saving money and you are losing money in a meeting. Maybe a president is talking and you are losing the connection because of the switch. And you just mentioned yesterday in a meeting a problem with other brand, not mention the name of the brand, but a big brand had a problem, and then you go with Niveo and you cure the problem, right?
Yes. So we have several of those examples, but the most critical part to understand is that if you have, take for example, a video over IP setup with 12 encoders, 12 decoders.
Okay.
With the displays that come into play and with the source equipment, you're easily talking about $1,000 per port, per endpoint. The switch in that entire design is maybe a $1,500 switch. So on the total scheme of that setup, it's not that much, but it's the most critical part of that switch, of that entire design. If you want to save money, don't do it on that switch, because if you save $200 on that switch and it fails, then the entire setup is down. If one encoder fails, hey, you miss one source, and that's easily replaceable. So we have the reason to be as robust as you can be in a network is critical.
And also it's very important the synergy between the IT guy and the AV guy, right? In the past, we had many wars with the IT guys. Now seems that is going to be together. So explain me why this is so important. The IT guy understands the AV and vice versa.
Well, the technology is convergent. It goes from IT to AV almost without any boundaries. The IT guy is really focused on getting the optimized network available. Usually they push for their own standards because they're used to that, they are trained on that. But there can be a sensitivity with the AV integrator who wants to achieve literally performance of the AV equipment and needs to have something on which he can rely blindly. And that's not always the same as the IT equipment. So it's very important to have a good dialogue to who takes responsibility for that part of the network.
And also it's important, Arthur, to have a good relationship with the brands. So
Yes.
let's talk to the guys which are listening to us. Why Niveo is so important to all the brands, and how is your relationship with the big brands like Crestron and all? Mention some brands for us.
So we literally work with everything in the industry out there. We've done extensive testing with Crestron, for instance. We are a certified Crestron partner. We've done the same, for instance, with Extron, with Wirestorm. The list goes on and on and on. And literally everyone who builds equipment on distributed audio or distributed video, we work with and support.
So the client doesn't have to have any complaint or concern about this. If they purchase a Niveo product, it's going to work with any brand, right?
Correct. The interoperability is very important, and the IEEE organization has set industry standards,
Okay.
which we very strictly adhere to, because if everyone uses that same standard, it works according to those standards.
This is great to hear. And let's talk about Niveo in Brazil. What are the main difference in your product, and you can show a little bit from the competitors? So we know that you have a lot of difference. Tell us some of them.
So there are quite a few important points. I think let's start with the Anatel certification. I think that's essential for Brazil. It's officially you need to have the equipment certified with Anatel, and I know that some other brands might look away from that, but especially with the standards that we hold up. And also with ZRS and the standards it holds up, it's essential to follow those standards.
Yeah, this is very important. So you can be safe because you are certified by Anatel. So we are in the process. So soon we should have this already done.
Yes. So that's I think that's one important thing to stick with the compliance. But secondly, we build equipment with the engineer in mind. So take for instance, this is our AVB switch. We've decided to make a dedicated preset, pre-programmed AVB switch, while we have competitors that take a normal switch where you have to either upload firmware or have to get licenses to even get AVB performed. We have a device that is out of the box, basically plug and play for AVB and Milan. And one of the things is we have a lot of customers that do live events and shows, and that means that equipment has to be a bit more durable than your standard equipment. So we've created this device to industrial standards.
Great.
That means to put it boldly, you can run your car over it and it would still work. So it has much higher tolerances for shock, but also for temperature and humidity. And this is a really neat, cool device.
Great. One very important thing in Brazil is energy. Our energy is not good, and everybody here knows about this. So tell us the difference that Niveo is bringing to Brazil regarding energy.
So if we look at our switch series, one of the things that we have done, and this is literally talking with integrators. This is why it's so important that we are an AV company. But we've built in line filtering in our switches. And why it sounds trivial, but why is that so important? If you install audio equipment in a building and the building power is poor, it will translate into noise coming from speakers, or even sometimes in displays where you get snow in the video, just because of that power noise is translated into video. We have built line filtering in that to take a great deal of those fluctuations out. So that helps really a lot for audio and video equipment that you connect with. Because if you have power fluctuations, that is translated through PoE as well. But the second thing is, we also use a lot of PoE power devices in our industry, and they have a tendency to be very easy to stop working as soon as there's a power dip. So our switch basically prevents that and take away those power dips.
This is really great. It's important also to mention, guys, that we are all talking about switches, but Niveo is not only switches, right?
No.
Can you explain a little bit about the portfolio of Niveo?
So we aim to offer infrastructure for AV. That means the majority are switches, that is true. But as you see displayed here, for instance, we have outdoor access points, we have indoor access points. This is quite a heavy, but a really strong device, long range. And we have a router controller.
Antennas.
Yeah, so this goes with external antennas. They are, it's a big device, but the consequence is that we also have a really strong transmission signal. We have basically the same chipset and technology in an indoor version, which is a ceiling-mounted access point. And we also have, and I think that's a really neat feature, and we're unique in that, we have a VPN router that is also an access controller. So for large deployments, most manufacturers, they create a router as a different device and an access controller. But there's physically no need to do that. So why get two boxes if you can do it in one? So we've decided to create a VPN router and access controller in one.
Great. So you can save time and you can save space and obviously save money, right?
Correct. Yes. So that's on our wireless equipment, and that's constantly evolving, following the newer standards. And then we have a very large range of switches. We run from 8 ports to 52 ports on the 1 gig, and we do the same on the 10 gigabit versions. So we can really run very large deployments.
So actually we can compete with any brand that the people can find on the market, right?
Correct. So we've done recently, for instance, a project in Poland, and that is a project where in a single design, 1,800 endpoints were used. So that's a real big bunch of switches that cascade from central 10 gig switches, and then a big bunch of 1 gig switches that do the entire deployment of the endpoints.
Yeah, this is amazing. And mainly, Arthur, we know that in Brazil, cost is very important. And we know that Niveo has a very aggressive price point. So we are very calm that we know that they're going to have a good success with you. So thank you for your time. Thank you for coming to Brazil. And I want to invite all the guys here because all these equipments will be installed in our showroom in Casa Conteúdo. By June, everything is going to be ready. So I invite all you guys to come to see this working live. So thank you, Arthur. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you for having us, and it's been a great pleasure.